This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, welcome everyone. We continue in the Sefer Devorah. As we mentioned, the very critical importance of the daily study of Musar. It's brought in the Sefer Devorah Yehoshua. The Devorah Yehoshua writes, "Min Torah u'min Nevi'im u'min Ksuvim." We find in all elements of the scriptures, both in the Chumash itself, in the prophets, in the Ksuvim, Ra'inu ki limud Musar chayva. The study of Musar is obligatory. This is not recommended. This is not suggested. This is not for saintly or pious individuals. It's incumbent upon a Jew to be involved in the study of Musar. Likewise, in the Sefer Erech HaPayim, which is a Sefer on anger, he says, "Mi she'eno yoisek b'sifrei ha-Musar eno yachal liyos Yehudi." One who does not learn Musar cannot be a Jew. In other words, this is a fundamental obligation of a Yid to be involved in the learning of Sifrei Musar. And this Sefer that we're zeichet to learn, the Sefer of the Ramak, it's interesting, we'll just make note of one particular Sefer that the Ramak wrote. We mentioned the Ramak did not live a long life. He only lived to 48 years old. And aside from writing this Sefer, the Devorah, and his most well-known Sefer, which is the Pardes Rimonim, he also wrote a Sefer called Sefer Gerushin. Sefer Gerushin has nothing to do with divorce. Instead, Sefer Gerushin is about conversations that he had with his brother-in-law and Rabbi, Reb Shlomo Alkabetz, when they were walking in the field. And at times when they were walking, he writes that suddenly various interpretations of the psukim came to him, clearly something which is min hashamayim. It's interesting, Rabbi Avram Azulai, the great-grandfather of the Chidah, says that the amount of material that the Ramak produced in his lifetime is so incredible, almost unbelievable, that if a typical human being were writing his entire life with both hands, they would not be able to produce what the Ramak produced. Okay, so we're up to the fourth Middah, which is the Middah of She'eris Nachalasai. The Devorah said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu accords himself with Klal Yisrael in the following fashion, that he says, how could I do anything bad to Klal Yisrael? They are literally a blood relative with me. They are She'er Basar with me. L'She'eris Nachalasai does not mean Shirayim, remnant, but rather She'er Basar refers to we have actually a blood relationship with Hashem, that we are called Biti, we are called Achoisi, we are called Imi, and we are literally related to Hashem. We have Mamish Korva with Him, and we are His Banim, like it says, L'She'eris Nachalasai. Well, if God, the Devorah says that when we are in pain, it actually hurts the Rebbeinu Shalom so deeply that it's B'chol Tsaroisam Lo Yitzar, that the Aleph, the original machshava of creation, is pained. All the more so the manifestation of Hashem. In other words, that on an essential level, the Rebbeinu Shalom, so to speak, is troubled on a deep level when a Jew is in pain. Now, because of that, what does that have to do with us? So the Devorah says, we're on page Yud Gimel. Kacha Adam and Chaverai, likewise a person with his friend. Kol Yisrael him she'er basar elu im elu. All Jews are blood relatives, one with another. Mibnei shahanashamois klulois yachad. Now the Devorah introduces a principle that the souls are incorporated and related one to another. Yesh bazeh chelek zeh. There is in this a piece of this one, meaning every Jew has in him a piece of another Jew's soul. So my soul has in it a little piece of every soul of every Jew, 600,000 pieces, so to speak. Now, the Devorah applies this on two levels. Firstly, in a general level, that every individual Jew has within him the small piece of soul of every other Jew. That is why even if a Jew sins anywhere in the world, it hurts me. It affects me. It's detrimental to me. So therefore, I need to take responsibility for his actions. Because when he sins, he's hurting me. Because there's a piece of me in him. He's hurting me. He's hurting my piece in him. But aside from that, there's a concept that when a tzibur gets together, let's say 10 Jews get together, those 10 Jews who have gathered, each one of those 10 Jews has a piece of the other Jew. So in other words, I have a piece of Ruvain has a piece of Ruvain, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zvulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher. Shimon has a piece of all 10. So now what's going on is, I'm 10 people. Each one of the 10 is considered 10 because he has a piece of all the gathered souls. In other words, so we're 21 people learning Talmud Devorah. Each one of us has 21 people within them when we're learning Talmud Devorah. Now, uvezeh chelek zeh ulekach einoi doime merubim ha'osim es hamitzvah. There's no similarity between the many who do a mitzvah, because when many do a mitzvah, each one of them is then tallies up the sum total of all the other people. This is all because of their incorporation. Now, the Talmud Devorah, based on this, says a very big chiddush. Just if I could ask you, refrain from the chatting on the screen. Shkayach. Therefore, our sages have explained, those who gather, who are part of the first 10 in the shul. So what does the Gemara say? That even if 100 people come after them, the first 10 get schar for anyone who came later. So the simple interpretation of the Gemara is 100 is lav dafka, 100 is just an example. Once a minyan is established, if 1,000 people come, you get schar for 1,000. If 1,000,000 people come, you get schar for 1,000,000. If 10 million, in other words, you would have thought the pshat in the Gemara, and this is how it's typically learned, that whoever comes later, you get schar for whoever comes later. However, the Talmud Devorah says no, 100 is a specific number. Afilu meya bo'im achrav, even if 100 come after, mekabel schar keneged kulam, you receive reward for everyone. Meya mamish k'mashmai, it's mamish 100. Why 100? Because each one of the 10 people are incorporated of the other 10. So Ruvain is 10, Shimon is 10, Levi is 10, all 10 are 10, so it's the equivalent of 100 people. That's what it means, that if the first 10 that come to the shul, even 100 come later, you get a schar for 100, meaning you get schar for the 100 that are incorporated in the first 10. Meya mamish k'mashmai, mimnei shohasara him klulim elu ba'elu. The 10 are incorporated, these and these, harehim eser pa'amim eser. That's 10 times 10, that's meya, that's 100. So in other words, each one is 10, so in this gathering you have 100. But then the Talmud Devorah says a chiddush. Imkain, v'chol echad mehem kolol mimeya. Each one of them is equal to 100. Now why would that be? Why would each one of them be equal to 100? So Rav Goldberg, in his footnotes on the Talmud Devorah, says it would seem that each one of the 10 is only considered like 10. Not each one is like 100. So in total you have 100. Some want to say that maybe it's v'chol echamem kolol b'meya. But I would like to suggest that no, the Talmud Devorah is dafka. Because if each one of the 10 people here are considered like 10, because each one of them has the soul of the other of all 10 people, so that means I have a chelik in you and you're 10. So I have a chelik in your 10, I have a chelik in the third guy's 10, I have a chelik in the fourth guy's 10, I have a chelik in the fifth guy's 10, meaning I myself have a share in each individual, who each individual is 10, so it comes out that I'm 100. Maybe that's what he means. Imkein afilu yavayu mea, even if 100 come, hu yesh lo schar mea, you get a schar of 100. And then the Talmud Devorah says a whopper of a chiddush. V'chein mitam zeh Yisrael arevim zeh. And for this reason, the Jewish people are responsible one for another. Why am I responsible for you? So the simple interpretation is, I'm responsible if you do an Aveira. I would have thought it's because I have to rebuke you. I have to reprimand you. We typically think that the reason why ma'ariv for you, the reason why I'm an ariv and a guarantor for you, is since I'm mechuyev to reprimand you, so now I'm responsible for you. No, that's not the reason I'm responsible for you. I'm responsible for you because it's really I'm responsible for myself. The reason I can be moitzi you in Kiddush is I'm being moitzi myself in Kiddush. There's a chelek of me in you. So I'm being moitzi myself. I could when my mouth makes Kiddush, it could be moitzi my hand. So I can be moitzi you because there's a chelek of me in you. And likewise, you're responsible for me. You're responsible for me because you have to take responsibility for not only your hand and not only your foot, but the extension of your soul, which extends so far that it goes into another person. That's where the chiyuv of arvus comes from. Because there's mamish in each individual a piece of the limb of his friend. So another way to say it is, I'm responsible for you because you're inside of me. So if I'm responsible for myself, so then part of being responsible for myself is being responsible for you because you're in me. When one person sins, he ruins himself, and he ruins the chelek of his friend in him. So if somebody speaks lashon hara, somebody talks by davening, somebody eats treif, they're contaminating not only themselves, they're contaminating the chelek of their friend in them. So I have to stop you, you're hurting me. You know, somebody might say, mind your own business, live and let live. I'm minding my own, you're my own business. You're ruining me. There's a chelek of me in you, and you're ruining it. Nimtza mitzad hachelekahu. It comes out that because of that share, chaveroi orev alav. Your friend is responsible for you. Because there is a share of him in you, your friend is responsible for that. Imkain heim she'er zemzeh. That makes a real blood connection, a physical connection between every Jew. The same way God, it hurts him when we suffer, it should hurt us when another Jew suffers because we are suffering. When another Jew suffers, we are literally suffering. Okay, we'll continue what the limud of this is, Be'ezus Hashem, tomorrow. Wishing everyone a great day. Okay.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.